Alicia Washington was tired. The clock on her car dashboard showed 10:27 p.m. as she drove home from her office in downtown Atlanta. The financial analysis meeting had run late, and all she wanted now was to get home, kick off her shoes, and maybe have a glass of wine before bed. The roads were mostly empty at this hour, just the way she liked them. She checked her mirror and noticed she was going 5 miles over the speed limit. Alicia eased her foot off the gas pedal. As a black woman, driving alone at night, she was always careful to follow traffic rules. She had heard too many stories from friends and family about routine traffic stops turning bad. The lights appeared suddenly in her rearview mirror, red and blue flashes cutting through the night. Alicia felt her stomach tighten. She hadn't been speeding. Her taillights worked fine, her registration and insurance were up to date. "Stay calm," she whispered to herself as she signaled and pulled over to the side of the road. She turned off the music, rolled down her window, and placed both hands on the steering wheel where they could be seen. Alicia took deep breaths while she waited. 2 officers approached her car, 1 on each side. The one who came to her window was tall with a hard face. His name tag read, Miller. The other officer, shorter and younger, circled around to the passenger side. His name tag said Dawson. "License and registration," Officer Miller said. His voice was cold. No greeting, no explanation for why he had pulled her over. "Good evening, officer," Alicia said, keeping her voice steady and polite. "May I reach for my purse to get my license? And my registration is in the glove compartment." Officer Miller nodded, watching her every move. Alicia slowly reached for her designer purse on the passenger seat. She noticed Officer Dawson's eyes following her movements through the passenger window. "Do you know why I pulled you over tonight?" Officer Miller asked, shining his flashlight into her car, moving the beam across the back seat. "No, sir, I don't," Alicia answered truthfully. "You were swerving. Have you been drinking tonight?" His tone suggested he had already decided she was guilty of something. "No, sir. I just left work. I'm a financial analyst at Harris & Klein. We had a late meeting." Alicia handed him her license and registration. Officer Miller studied her license for a long time. "This is a nice car for someone your age," he said, emphasizing your in a way that made Alicia uncomfortable. "I've worked hard for what I have," she replied simply. Officer Miller's eyes narrowed. "Step out of the car, please." "May I ask why?" Alicia's heart beat faster, but she kept her voice calm. "I smell something suspicious. Step out of the car now." His hand moved to rest on his gun. Alicia knew her rights, but she also knew that arguing with police officers at night on an empty road was dangerous. She unbuckled her seatbelt and slowly opened her door. The night air was cool against her skin as she stood by her car. Alicia wore a navy blue business suit with low heels. Her curly hair was pulled back in a neat bun. She looked every bit the professional she was. "Is there a problem, officer?" she asked. Officer Miller didn't answer. Instead, he said, "Nice watch. Rolex?" Alicia glanced at her wrist. The watch had been a gift to herself when she made senior analyst. "Yes, it is." Officer Dawson had come around from the passenger side. "That's a fancy purse, too," he said, pointing at her designer handbag, still on the passenger seat. "Stand over here," Officer Miller ordered, pointing to the space between her car and the police cruiser. As Alicia moved where directed, Officer Miller began searching her car without asking for permission. She wanted to object but stopped herself. The situation was already tense. "You don't mind if we look around, do you?" Officer Dawson asked with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. It wasn't really a question. "I do mind, actually." "Do you have a warrant?" Alicia asked, trying to stay brave. "We don't need one if we have reasonable suspicion," Officer Miller called from inside her car. "And I told you, I smelled something." Alicia knew this wasn't right. She hadn't been swerving. There was nothing to smell in her car. But here she was, standing on the side of a dark road while 2 police officers searched her vehicle. "Nothing here," Officer Dawson said after looking through her trunk. Alicia felt a moment of relief. Maybe they would let her go now. Then Officer Miller emerged from the front seat holding a small plastic bag with white powder. Well, what do we have here?" Alicia's eyes widened. That's not mine. That wasn't in my car. It was under your seat, Officer Miller said. Looks like drugs to me. That's impossible, Alicia said, her voice rising. You put that there. I don't do drugs. You can test me right now. Officer Miller's face hardened. Are you accusing an officer of planting evidence? Turn around and put your hands behind your back. This is wrong, Alicia said. But she did as she was told. The cold metal of handcuffs clicked around her wrists, tight enough to hurt. You're making a mistake, she said. I'm a financial analyst. I was just at work. You can call my boss. You can... Quiet, Officer Miller snapped. Possession of controlled substances is a serious offense. Officer Dawson leaned in close to her ear. This could mean jail time, loss of your job, your nice car, everything. Fear ran through Alicia like ice water. This couldn't be happening. These officers had stopped her for no reason, planted drugs in her car, and now were threatening her with jail. Please, she said. This is a mistake. Officer Miller and Officer Dawson exchanged looks. Then Officer Dawson walked a few steps away and motioned for Officer Miller to join him. Alicia stood there handcuffed, watching them talk in low voices. She couldn't hear what they were saying, but she saw Officer Miller nod and smile. When they returned, Officer Dawson's voice was softer. Look, we don't want to ruin your life. Maybe we can work something out. What do you mean? Alicia asked. Well, Officer Miller said, holding up the bag of white powder. Evidence processing is complicated. Paperwork gets lost. Things fall through cracks. What are you saying? Alicia asked, though she already knew. Officer Dawson smiled. We could help each other out. A processing fee, let's call it, to make sure this evidence doesn't find its way to the station. You want me to pay you? Alicia was shocked, even though she had begun to suspect this was where things were heading. $2,000, Officer Miller said. Cash, and this problem goes away. I don't have that kind of cash on me, Alicia said. ATM, Officer Dawson suggested. There's one at the gas station 2 miles from here. Alicia felt sick. This was extortion. But what choice did she have? If they took her to jail on false drug charges, it could ruin her career, her reputation, everything she had worked for. Okay, she said quietly. Smart choice, Officer Miller said, guiding her toward the back of their police cruiser. As they put her in the back seat, still handcuffed, Alicia's mind raced. This had to be illegal. These officers were corrupt. They had targeted her because she was black, because she looked successful, because they thought they could get away with it. As the police cruiser pulled away, leaving her car on the side of the road, Alicia stared out the window. The city lights blurred through her tears. She thought about her parents who had worked so hard to give her opportunities. She thought about all the times they had warned her about encounters with police. She thought about the stories in the news that some people didn't believe. Officer Miller and Officer Dawson chatted in the front seat as if they weren't in the middle of committing a crime. As if her life wasn't hanging in the balance. As if this was just another day for them. And maybe it was. Maybe they had done this before to other people who looked like her. People who were too scared to fight back. People who paid the processing fee and tried to forget what happened. But Alicia Washington wasn't going to forget. And as the police cruiser headed toward the ATM, a plan began to form in her mind. These officers had picked the wrong woman to target tonight. They just didn't know it yet. The police car moved through the empty streets. Alicia sat in the back seat, her wrists raw from the tight handcuffs. The plastic divider between her and the officers didn't block their voices as they talked about their plans for the money. I could use my share for that fishing boat, Officer Dawson said, not even trying to keep his voice down. Keep it down, Officer Miller replied, glancing at Alicia in the rearview mirror. Alicia kept her face calm, but her mind worked quickly. She needed to remember every detail. Their badge numbers, the time, the location where they stopped her, and everything they said. If she got out of this, she would report them. But first, she had to survive the night. The police car pulled into a gas station with an ATM outside. The bright lights from the store spilled onto the empty parking lot. A lone worker stood behind the counter inside, looking bored. "Here's how this works," Officer Miller said, turning around to face Alicia. "Dawson will take you to the ATM. You'll withdraw the money. No funny business, no trying to signal anyone, understand?" Alicia nodded. "Your hands," Officer Dawson said, opening her door. Alicia turned so he could reach her handcuffs. He loosened, one side leaving the other cuff dangling from her wrist. "Don't want anyone getting suspicious," he explained with a smirk. "Just keep your hands close together like they're still cuffed." Officer Dawson grabbed her arm and led her toward the ATM. Alicia walked slowly, looking around. The gas station attendant had his back turned, restocking cigarettes behind the counter. There were no other customers, no witnesses. "Hurry up," Officer Dawson said, pushing her forward. At the ATM, Alicia pulled out her bank card. Her fingers trembled as she entered her PIN. The screen showed her balance, $3,741.28. She had the money they wanted, but something inside her rebelled at the idea of giving it to them. "What's taking so long?" Officer Dawson asked, standing too, close behind her. "Daily withdrawal limit," Alicia lied. "I can only take out $1,000 at a time." Officer Dawson frowned. "Then do it twice." Alicia pressed the buttons, moving slowly. She was buying time, trying to think. The machine whirred and counted out 10 $100 bills. She took them and held them in her hand. "Now the rest," Officer Dawson ordered. As Alicia turned back to the ATM, she noticed a security camera in the corner of the gas station's awning. It was pointed right at them. A small red light showed it was recording. Hope flickered inside her. If she could somehow alert someone, let them know she was being forced to do this. "What are you waiting for?" Officer Dawson grabbed her arm, his fingers digging into her skin. Alicia winced. "Sorry, just tired." She turned back to the ATM and punched in her PIN again. As she did, she shifted her body slightly, making sure her face was clearly visible to the camera. She mouthed the words, "Help me," while Officer Dawson looked at the screen. The machine dispensed another $1,000. Alicia took the cash, her heart pounding. Would anyone review the security footage? Would they understand what was happening? Officer Dawson grabbed the money from her hand and counted it. "Good. Let's go." He pulled her back toward the police car, not bothering to be gentle now that he had the cash. Alicia stumbled but caught herself. She looked toward the gas station window. The attendant was now watching them, a confused expression on his face. Alicia made a decision. She fell to her knees, crying out in pain. "Get up," Officer Dawson hissed, trying to pull her to her feet. "My ankle," Alicia cried. "I think I twisted." Officer Dawson looked around nervously. The gas station attendant was now walking toward the door. "Everything okay out there?" the attendant called. "Fine," Officer Dawson shouted back. "Police business." The attendant hesitated, then went back inside, but he kept watching through the window. Alicia knew she had only drawn attention, not help. The attendant wasn't going to challenge police officers. She let Officer Dawson pull her up, and they continued to the car. Officer Miller was tapping the steering wheel impatiently. "What took so long?" "Daily limit issues," Officer Dawson replied, pushing Alicia into the back seat. He dangled the cash in front of Officer Miller. "But we got it, officer." Miller grinned and started the engine. "Let's get out of here." "What about my car?" Alicia asked. "You left it on the side of the road." "That's your problem," Officer Miller said. "We'll drop you at a bus stop." "My purse and phone are still in my car," Alicia protested. Officer Dawson turned around. "Stop complaining. You're getting off easy. No jail, no record, just a very expensive traffic stop." They laughed, and Alicia felt anger replacing her fear. These men were supposed to protect people. Instead, they were no better than criminals. The police car turned onto a quiet side street lined with closed businesses. No houses, no people. Alicia's fear returned. Why were they taking her here? Officer Miller stopped the car and turned off the engine. The sudden silence was heavy with threat. "Before we let you go," he said, "we need to be clear about something. This never happened. You tell anyone, try to report us, and things will go very badly for you." "How do I know you won't do this again?" Alicia asked, surprised by the steadiness of her voice. Officer Dawson laughed. "Maybe we will. You drive a nice car in a nice part of town. Maybe we'll see you again someday." The thought of living in fear of seeing these officers again made something snap inside Alicia. All her life she had worked hard, followed rules, done everything right. And here she was, being treated like a criminal because of the color of her skin. "I want to see that bag again," she said suddenly. "What bag?" Officer Miller asked. "The one you claim you found in my car. The one with drugs." The officers exchanged looks. "Why?" Officer Dawson asked. "Because I know it's not real drugs," Alicia said. "I bet it's just baking powder or something. You probably use the same bag for all your victims." Officer Miller's face darkened. "Watch your mouth." "Or what?" Alicia was tired of being afraid. "You've already taken my money. You've already threatened me. What more can you do?" "Plenty," Officer Miller growled. But Officer Dawson put a hand on his partner's arm. "Just let it go. We got what we wanted. Let's drop her and be done with it." Officer Miller stared at Alicia for a long moment, then nodded. "Fine." He started the car again and drove for another 10 minutes. They were now in a commercial area, with a bus stop at the corner. It was empty, the street dark except for a single streetlight. "End of the line," Officer Miller said, stopping the car. Officer Dawson got out and opened Alicia's door. He removed the handcuff that was still attached to her wrist. "Remember what we said?" he warned. "Not a word to anyone." Alicia stepped out of the car. Her legs felt weak, but she forced herself to stand tall. The police car drove away, leaving her alone at the bus stop. She looked around. No buses would come at this hour. No taxis in sight. Her phone was in her car, which was miles away. She had no money. They had taken it all. Alicia sat on the bench and put her head in her hands. Tears came then, hot and angry. She was safe, but she felt violated, helpless, and alone. After a few minutes, she wiped her eyes and straightened her back. No, she would not let them win. She was Alicia Washington. She had faced discrimination before. She had overcome obstacles before. And she would overcome this too. A plan began to form in her mind. Those officers thought they had power over her. They thought she would stay quiet out of fear. They were wrong. Tomorrow, she would fight back. Tomorrow, they would learn they had picked the wrong woman to victimize. But first, she had to get home. Alicia stood up and began walking toward the main road. She would find help. She would survive this night. And then she would make those officers pay for what they had done. Alicia walked for 20 minutes before she found an all-night diner. The bright lights inside looked welcoming after the dark streets. Her feet hurt in her work heels, and her suit jacket wasn't warm enough for the night air. But she was alive, and she was free. That was what mattered. A bell jingled as she pushed open the door. The smell of coffee and fried food filled the air. 3 truck drivers sat at the counter, and an older couple occupied a booth near the back. A waitress with gray hair looked up from wiping a table. "You okay, honey?" the waitress asked, taking in Alicia's disheveled appearance. Alicia realized how she must look. Expensive suit wrinkled, hair coming loose from her bun, eyes red from crying. "Not really," Alicia admitted. "I need help. Can I use your phone?" The waitress, whose name tag read Betty, reached under the counter and pulled out an old cordless phone. "Take your time. You want some coffee? On the house." "Thank you," Alicia said, taking the phone and sitting at an empty booth. She dialed the number of her best friend, Keisha. It rang 4 times before a sleepy voice answered. "Hello? Keisha, it's Alicia. I'm sorry to wake you, but I need help." 15 minutes later, headlights flashed outside the diner as Keisha's car pulled into the parking lot. Alicia had finished her coffee and told Betty a shortened version of what had happened. Betty had been outraged, offering to be a witness, if Alicia needed one. Keisha rushed in, still wearing pajama pants under her coat. She hugged Alicia tightly. "Girl, are you okay? What happened?" "I'll tell you in the car," Alicia said. "First, I need to get my car. It's still on Riverside Drive where they pulled me over." After thanking Betty, they left. In Keisha's car, Alicia told her everything. The traffic stop, the planted drugs, the extortion, being abandoned at the bus stop. "We need to call the police," Keisha said, gripping the steering wheel tightly. "They are the police," Alicia reminded her. "Not all cops are like those two," Keisha argued. "There must be someone who will listen." Alicia stared out the window. "Maybe. But first I need to get my car and my things." They found her car exactly where she had left it. No ticket on the windshield, no boot on the tire. Just her car, sitting alone on the side of the road. "Thank God," Alicia said, grabbing her purse from the passenger seat. Her phone was still inside, along with her wallet, minus the cash she kept there. The officers hadn't bothered to steal that small amount when they had gotten $2,000 from the ATM. "What now?" Keisha asked. Alicia checked the time on her phone. 1:23 a.m. "Now I go home. I need to sleep. Tomorrow I fight back." Keisha didn't look happy about leaving things unresolved, but she nodded. "Call me first thing in the morning, promise?" "I promise," Alicia said, hugging her friend again. "Thank you for coming to get me." "Always," Keisha replied. Alicia drove, home carefully, half expecting to see flashing lights in her mirror again. But she made it to her apartment without incident. Inside, she locked the door, took a long shower, and fell into an exhausted sleep. The next morning, she woke early despite her late night. The events of the previous evening came rushing back, bringing with them a wave of anger and determination. She reached for her phone and called in sick to work. Then she made another call. By 9 o'clock, Alicia was sitting in an office downtown. The sign on the door read, "Sam Powell, Attorney at Law." Sam was Keisha's cousin and a former prosecutor, who now specialized in civil rights cases. Sam listened without interrupting as Alicia told her story again. When she finished, he leaned back in his chair. "We have options," he said. "We can file a complaint with Internal Affairs. We can go to the media. We can file a civil suit." "What would work best?" Alicia asked. "Honestly? Evidence. Your word against 2 officers, even with the ATM camera footage, is a tough case. Cops protect their own." Alicia nodded slowly. "What if I could get them to admit what they did? Record them somehow?" Sam's eyebrows shot up. "That would be solid evidence, but it's also dangerous. These men have already shown they're willing to break the law. I can't advise you to put yourself at risk." "I understand," Alicia said, "but I can't let them do this to someone else. They picked me because I'm black and I looked like I had money. They've probably done this before." Sam studied her face. "You've already decided what you're going to do, haven't you?" Alicia smiled. "Slightly. Maybe. At least let me help you do it safely," Sam said with a sigh. "I have some contacts who might be interested in this kind of case." 3 days later, Alicia sat in her car in the parking lot of a coffee shop near the police precinct where Officers Miller and Dawson worked. Sam had done his research. The officers often stopped here during their shift. Alicia wore a wire under her blouse. It wasn't police equipment. Sam had borrowed it from a private investigator friend, but it would record any conversation clearly enough. In her purse was a small can of pepper spray, just in case. Her hands were sweaty on the steering wheel as she waited. Sam was parked across the street watching. They had a plan. It wasn't perfect, but it was the best they could do. At 2:15 p.m., a police cruiser pulled into the lot. Alicia's heart jumped when she recognized Officers Miller and Dawson getting out. They didn't notice her car as they walked into the coffee shop. Alicia took a deep breath, checked that the wire was recording, and got out of her car. She walked into the coffee shop and got in line behind the officers. Officer Dawson was ordering a large coffee when he glanced back and saw her. His eyes widened in shock. He elbowed Officer Miller, who turned around. "Well, look who it is," Officer Miller said, recovering quickly. His voice was low but threatening. Alicia kept her face neutral. Officers, fancy meeting you here. The barista called out that their order was ready. The officers took their coffees and moved to the side, where fewer people could hear them. Alicia followed. You've got some nerve showing up here, officer, Dawson said. I wanted to talk to you both, Alicia said calmly. About our last meeting. Officer Miller stepped closer. There's nothing to talk about, unless you want another expensive traffic stop. Actually, Alicia said, keeping her voice steady, I thought you might want to know who I am before you make another mistake. The officers exchanged glances. We know who you are, Officer Miller said. Alicia Washington, financial analyst. That's my day job, Alicia replied. She lowered her voice. But I also work as a consultant for the FBI, Special Task Force on Police Corruption. The officers stared at her. Officer Dawson laughed nervously. Yeah, right. Your precinct has been under investigation for 6 months, Alicia continued, making up details as she went. Captain Rogers is cooperating. He doesn't know which of his officers are dirty, so the FBI sent me in as bait. And you two took it. Officer Miller's face hardened. You're lying. Am I? Alicia pulled out her phone. Should I call my handler now? I'm sure he'd love to meet you both. The surveillance team got everything on camera the other night. The planted, drugs, the extortion, all of it. Officer Dawson's face had gone pale. She's bluffing, he said to Miller, but he didn't sound convinced. 3 surveillance vans, Alicia continued, gaining confidence as she saw doubt creep into their expressions. Audio and video of the entire encounter, and I was wearing a wire just like I am now. She saw fear flash in Officer Miller's eyes. She had them. Officer Miller grabbed Alicia's arm and pulled her toward the back of the coffee shop, away from the other customers. Officer Dawson followed, looking nervously over his shoulder. Keep your voice down, Officer Miller hissed. Alicia maintained, her calm expression though her heart raced. The wire under her blouse was recording everything. She needed to get them to admit what they had done. Let go of my arm, she said quietly. Or should I signal the agents outside? Officer Miller released. Her butt stayed close. There's no one outside. Are you willing to bet your career on that? Alicia asked. Your freedom? Because that's what we're talking about now. The FBI doesn't take kindly to officers who plant evidence and extort money from innocent people. Officer Dawson's face had turned a sickly shade of white. Listen, there's been a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding, Alicia repeated. You planted drugs in my car, you handcuffed me, you forced me to withdraw $2,000 from an ATM. Which part did I misunderstand? We can give you the money back, Officer Dawson said quickly. Officer Miller shot him an angry look. Shut up, Dawson. But Alicia had what she needed, an admission. Still, she wanted more. The money is evidence now, she said, along with the recording of you placing that bag in my car. Did you really think there are no cameras on police cruisers these days? This was a lie. Alicia knew many police departments had dashboard cameras and body cameras, but she had no idea if this department did, or if these officers had been wearing them. But from the look of panic on Officer Dawson's face, she had struck a nerve. Those cameras weren't on, Officer Dawson said desperately. Miller always turns them off when we make these stops. Another admission. Alicia felt a surge of satisfaction. Pete, I swear to God if you don't shut up, Officer Miller growled. The FBI has ways of recovering deleted footage, Alicia said, making it up as she went along. And they know about the other stops too, the other victims. How many have there been? 5, 10? Officer Dawson looked like he might be sick. It wasn't my idea. Miller said it was safe, low risk, just target people who won't make trouble. People like me? Alicia asked. Black people driving nice cars? I never said to target black people. Specifically, Officer Miller protested, then seemed to realize he was digging himself deeper. Alicia decided to push harder. The task force has identified at least 7 other victims in the past 3 months, all minorities, all driving high-end vehicles, all with the same story, planted evidence, threats of arrest, demands for cash. This was completely fabricated, but Alicia delivered it with such confidence that doubt flickered across Officer Miller's face. No one filed complaints, he said. They were too scared, Alicia replied. Just like you hoped they would be. Just like I was supposed to be. But the FBI doesn't need complaints when they're already investigating. Officer Dawson sat down heavily at a nearby table. We're going to prison, aren't we? Officer Miller remained, standing, his face a mask of anger and fear. She's lying. There's no FBI, no task force. She's trying to scare us. Then why don't we step outside? Alicia suggested. See if there are any agents waiting, or I could make a call right now. She reached for her phone. Wait, Officer Dawson said. His voice was shaking. What can we do? Is there any way to fix this? Alicia looked at him coldly. Fix extortion? False arrest? Civil rights violations? How exactly would you fix that? We could testify, Officer Dawson said desperately. Against other officers. There are others doing worse things than us. Officer Miller lunged at his partner. Shut your mouth. Alicia stepped back, suddenly afraid. The situation was volatile. These men were armed. She glanced toward the front of the coffee shop, where Sam was supposed to come in if things looked dangerous. As if on cue, the bell above the door jingled, and Sam walked in. He spotted Alicia and nodded slightly, then got in line to order coffee, keeping an eye on the situation. Alicia felt braver knowing Sam was there. Officer Dawson, you were saying? About other officers? Officer Dawson looked at his partner, then back at Alicia. There's a group. They target specific neighborhoods. Plant drugs, steal cash during raids. Miller and I, we're small time compared to them. Officer Miller's face was red with rage. I'll kill you for this, Pete. I swear to God. You're not helping your case, Officer Miller, Alicia said calmly. Threatening your partner in front of a witness while being recorded, not smart. Officer Miller seemed to deflate suddenly, the fight going out of him. He sank into a chair opposite Officer Dawson. What do you want? He asked tiredly. Justice? Alicia replied simply. For me and for everyone else you've victimized. And if we cooperate? Officer Dawson asked. Alicia had not planned for this question. She wasn't actually with the FBI and she couldn't make any deals. But she needed to keep them talking. That would be up to the prosecutors, she said. But cooperation always looks better than resistance. Officer Miller shook his head. This is a setup. If you're really FBI, show me a badge. I told you I'm a consultant, Alicia replied smoothly. I don't carry a badge, but I can arrange a meeting with agents who do. Would you like that? Before Officer Miller could respond, his radio crackled. A dispatcher's voice called his unit number, requesting a response to an incident. The officers exchanged glances. Officer Miller spoke into his radio, acknowledging the call and saying they would respond. We have to go, he said to Alicia, standing up. This isn't over, she replied. No. Officer Miller agreed. His voice had changed. The anger was gone, replaced by something that sounded like resignation. I guess it isn't. As the officers headed for the door, Officer Dawson turned back. I'm sorry, he said quietly. For what we did to you. It was wrong. Alicia was surprised by the apology but kept her face neutral. Tell that to the judge. When the officers were gone, Sam came over with 2 cups of coffee. How did it go? Alicia let out a long breath. I think I got what we needed. They admitted. Everything? Let's hear it, Sam said, sitting down across from her. Alicia reached under her blouse and pulled out the small recording device. She rewound it and pressed play. Their voices filled the quiet corner of the coffee shop. Can give you the money back? Shut up, Dawson. Those cameras weren't on. Miller always turns them off when we make these stops. Sam grinned as he listened. This is gold. They confess to everything. The planted evidence, turning off cameras, even targeting minorities specifically. Will it be enough? Alicia asked. More than enough for internal affairs, Sam assured her. And if They don't act, we take it to the district attorney. And if they don't act, we go to the media. These guys are finished. Alicia felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She had done it. She had stood up to the officers who had victimized her, and she had won. What about their claims about other corrupt officers? She asked. Sam's expression turned serious. If that's true, this could be bigger than just your case. You might have uncovered a whole network of corruption. Alicia sipped her coffee, thinking about the fear she had seen in Officer Dawson's eyes, the desperate way he had tried to save himself by offering information about others. I told them I was with the FBI, she said with a small laugh. I made up this whole story about a task force investigating their precinct. You took a big risk, Sam said. But it worked. They believed you. They believed me because they're guilty, Alicia said. Guilty people are always looking over their shoulders, wondering when they'll be caught. Sam raised his coffee cup in a toast. To justice. Alicia clinked her cup against his. To justice. 2 weeks passed since Alicia confronted Officers Miller and Dawson in the coffee shop. The recording she made that day had set many things in motion. Sam had taken the evidence directly to the Internal Affairs Division of the police department. At first, they seemed reluctant to act, but when Sam mentioned going to the media, things changed quickly. Alicia sat in Sam's office looking at the morning newspaper. Her picture was on the front page, alongside a headline that read, Brave Woman Exposes Police Corruption Ring. The article detailed how her actions had led to the arrest of not just Officers Miller and Dawson, but 3 other officers from the same precinct. I never expected it to get this big, Alicia said, putting down the newspaper. Sam nodded. You pulled on a thread, and the whole thing unraveled. Officer Dawson made a deal with prosecutors. He's giving them everything he knows about corruption in the department. What about Officer Miller? Alicia asked. Still denying everything, but it doesn't matter. The evidence is too strong. Your recording, the ATM camera footage, Dawson's testimony. Miller is facing serious time. Alicia felt no joy at this news, just a sense that justice was being served. She hadn't wanted to ruin anyone's life. She had simply wanted to stop them from hurting other people the way they had hurt her. The FBI called again, Sam said. They're very interested in your case. It overlaps with an investigation they've been running for months. Alicia laughed. So I wasn't completely lying when I said I was working with them. Just a little ahead of the truth, Sam agreed with a smile. They want to talk to you about becoming a real consultant on their police corruption task force. Your background in financial analysis could be useful for following money trails. Alicia was surprised. Me? Work with the FBI? Why not? You've already proven you have the courage and the smarts for it. Alicia considered this unexpected opportunity. A month ago, her life had been simple. Work, home, friends, the occasional date. Now she was being offered a chance to help fight corruption, all because she had refused to stay quiet when she was wronged. I'll think about it, she promised. As Alicia left Sam's office, her phone rang. It was Keisha. Girl, you're famous, Keisha exclaimed. Everyone at my office is talking about you. It's a little overwhelming, Alicia admitted. You're a hero, Keisha said. You know that, right? Those officers had been targeting people in our community for years. No one else had the courage to stand up to them. I was scared too, Alicia said, but sometimes being scared isn't enough reason not to do something. Well, I'm proud of you. Listen, there's a community meeting tonight at the church. People want to hear your story. Will you come? Alicia hesitated. Public speaking wasn't her thing, but she thought about all the people who might have been victimized by those officers, people who might have felt they had no voice, no power. I'll be there, she said. That evening, Alicia stood before a packed church hall. People of all ages filled the seats. Some she recognized from her neighborhood, others were strangers, but all looked at her with respect and hope. Alicia took a deep breath and began to tell her story. She spoke simply and honestly about what had happened that night. The false traffic stop, the planted drugs, the extortion. She described her fear, her anger, and finally her determination to get justice. I was lucky, she concluded. I had resources many people don't have. A friend who came to help me, a lawyer who believed me. But justice shouldn't depend on luck. It should be available to everyone, regardless of their skin color or how much money they have. The room erupted in applause. When it quieted, a young man stood up. What can the rest of us do? He asked. How do we protect ourselves from corrupt officers? Alicia thought about this. Know your rights. Record encounters with police when possible. Support each other. And most importantly, don't stay silent when you see injustice. Silence protects the wrong people. More questions followed. How had she found the courage to confront the officers? What was happening with the investigation now? Would real changes come from all this? Alicia answered as best she could. She didn't have all the answers, but she shared what she had learned through her experience. After the meeting, many people came to thank her, to share their own stories of police encounters. Some were positive, but many were not. Alicia listened to each person, feeling the weight of their experiences. An older woman with gray hair pulled Alicia aside. My grandson was arrested last year, said they found drugs in his car. He swore they weren't his, but no one believed him. He's serving 5 years. Alicia felt a chill. I'm so sorry. Do you think? The woman hesitated. Could his case be reopened if those same officers were involved? I don't know, Alicia said honestly, but I can help you find out. What's your grandson's name? By the time Alicia left the church, she had a notebook full of names. People who believed they had been wrongfully arrested. People whose cars had been searched without consent. People who had paid fines directly to officers to avoid arrest. A pattern was emerging, larger than just officers Miller and Dawson. This was systematic, and it had been happening for years. The next morning, Alicia called Sam. I've decided to take the FBI up on their offer, she said. But I have conditions. I want to look into these cases. She read off the list of names she had collected. Sam was quiet for a moment. That's a lot of cases, Alicia. It could take years. Then I better get started, she replied. 6 months later, Alicia sat in a federal courtroom, watching as Officer Miller was led away in handcuffs. He had been found guilty on multiple charges, including civil rights violations, extortion, and evidence tampering. Officer Dawson had received a lighter sentence in exchange for his cooperation, but he would still serve time. More importantly, the investigation had expanded. The FBI task force that Alicia now worked with had uncovered a network of corruption that spread through multiple precincts. Dozens of old cases were being reviewed. Some convictions had already been overturned, including the case of the older woman's grandson. As Alicia left the courthouse, a reporter approached her. Ms. Washington, how does it feel to see justice served? Alicia thought about the question. It's just the beginning, she said. Real justice isn't just about punishing a few bad officers. It's about changing the system that allowed them to operate for so long. It's about making sure every person is treated with dignity and respect, regardless of the color of their skin or how much money they have. And do you think that's possible? The reporter asked. Alicia smiled. I have to believe it is. Otherwise, what are we all fighting for? Later that day, Alicia visited the community center she had helped establish with some of the settlement money from her lawsuit against the police department. The center offered legal advice to people who couldn't afford lawyers. It helped people understand their rights during police encounters. And it provided a safe space for people to share their experiences and support each other. As she watched volunteers helping community members, Alicia felt a sense of purpose stronger than anything she had known before. What had happened to her was terrible. But from that terrible experience, something good had grown. She had turned her pain into power, her fear into courage, her experience into action. And she wasn't done yet, not by a long shot.